Hi, I'm Teresa, and this is Celebration Elevation, and today we're going to make one of my very favorite recipes to make for family, and it is moist chocolate chip muffins. This is a great thing to have if you're having people over in the morning and you just want a little something to eat, not a full breakfast. So you can serve these muffins and some fruit and maybe coffee and some mimosas, whatever you're in the mood for. So the first part of this recipe is we are going to sift into a bowl 1.5 cups of flour, and I'm just using this mesh strainer, but you can use, some people have a sifter. So it's 1.5 cups of flour, and then 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So we're gonna just sift that together in here, like that. So you can see it's just kind of light and fluffy. Okay, and now what we're gonna do is, in another bowl, we're gonna mix some of the wet ingredients. But actually, I wanted to tell you, this recipe calls for 1/2 cup of buttermilk, and I don't have any buttermilk. So if you don't have buttermilk and you wanna make something that calls for buttermilk, this is just 1/2 cup of milk. And then this is, for every 1 cup of regular milk you use, you wanna use 1 teaspoon of white vinegar. And we're gonna let that sit, and that's gonna turn into buttermilk. So this is 1/2 cup of milk, so we're gonna add 1/2 cup, not 1/2 cup. We're gonna add 1/2 teaspoon of white vinegar. And I'm just gonna add that in there, and we're gonna let that set aside. Now into a separate bowl, we're gonna add 1/2 cup of vegetable oil, and then 1 cup of sugar. I'm just going to use the same cup that I used in the flour. So 1 cup of sugar going into the oil, and then we're just going to mix that up with the beater, with the mixer. So I'm just mixing it up just so it incorporates together. Then to this, we're going to add 1 egg. And this, I don't know if you can see, this is an egg from my chickens. They give us all kinds of different, we have several different breeds, so they give us different colors of eggs. Okay, so what I usually do when I'm cracking an egg for a recipe, or more than 1 egg, I crack them into something else first, so that in case I get any shells in, or in case there's something wrong with the egg itself, I'm not putting that into my recipe and then I'd have to start all over. So I just do one at a time into another glass measuring cup or a bowl, whatever you want. So I'm gonna put that 1 egg into this mixture, and then we're gonna add 1/2 cup of sour cream. And that's what helps make it so moist and gives it a really good flavor. Yep, and I spilled some. Well, we won't tell anyone, will we? Okay, so we're gonna mix this up. There we go. And that's all it required. Now we're going to take our, I'm gonna stir in. Calls for 1 teaspoon of vanilla. This is vanilla that I made last year, and it's just basically vodka and vanilla bean. But for the full recipe and for how to make it, go to my website. There I have an entire blog with vanilla paste, and vanilla sugar, so you can see how we make that. So I'm doing a teaspoon of the vanilla, and actually I always do a little bit extra of vanilla in a recipe. I just love the flavor. Meanwhile, our oven is preheating to 375 degrees, so that will be ready for us. So now I'm done with these, and I'm just going to okay. I'm just gonna gonna set that here and I'm gonna mix the vanilla in. And now we're just gonna use a spatula or wooden spoon, whatever you wanna use. And we're gonna go back and forth between the dried ingredients and the buttermilk. So I'm just gonna add some of the dry, and incorporate that. And if you are looking for this kind of recipe, other recipes for guests or family, and tips for decorations, tips for having people over, go to my website at celebrationelevation.com. And also, see, did you see that? It was like clump, clump. It made it into buttermilk. So, also hit the subscribe button and thumbs up if you like it. All right, so now we're adding the buttermilk and we're gonna add the rest of the flour mixture. And I'm just gonna incorporate those together now. And then the recipe calls for 1 cup of chocolate chips. I like to use the mini chips for this, but you can use whichever kind you like. So it's gonna be a bit lumpy and you want it like that. That's actually, you don't wanna over stir this because that's what's gonna make this recipe, that will make the dough, the batter, I should say, tough, the cake part of it tough. So we're just gonna stir it up like this. Then we're gonna add a cup of the chocolate chips, and I'm just gonna kind of, eyeball this. That one falls about a half cup, so. Then we're gonna reserve some of the chocolate chips because they're gonna go on top of the muffins after we get them in the muffin pan. All right, so that looks good. Now, what I'm gonna use is to put them evenly into my muffin tin. I am going to use a little scooper. And this is for, I guess, well, I use it for chocolate chips. For chocolate chip cookies. But you could use it, I think you could use this for ice cream as well. So, anyway, right now I'm using it for muffins. So, we're going to scoop some up, and I've already lined this with some paper liners. If you don't have any paper liners, it's no big deal to just give it a good spray with cooking spray, and then you'll just come right out when you're finished. I just like to use the papers because it's easier for people to eat this way. So I'm just gonna continue adding these. I don't know if you noticed, but I've been on sort of a break from YouTube for the last probably 2 months, kind of revamping some of the other parts of my business. So if you hop on over to my website, celebrationelevation.com, I do have a new website. So it's really pretty. I love the design, and you can take a look at that and see all my blogs, my blog posts, and recipes and everything else on there. So, all right, I've got these in here. I'm just gonna finish that up a little bit. These are gonna be big. They're gonna be all the way full. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, I'm gonna take some extra chocolate chips. I'm just gonna sprinkle them, a few on top of each of these muffins. And it just looks pretty. And people then know there's chocolate chip. Hey, there's chocolate chips in here. Who doesn't like that, right? All right. And like I said, this is perfect with some, I like to do a berry salad. So I do strawberries, raspberries, and blackberries, and I put them in a bowl, and then I add a little bit of vanilla and a little bit of powdered sugar. Mix that all up, and it's delicious. Okay, so this is what it looks like. I'm gonna put them in the oven and then I will show you the results. Okay, so I'm back, and these baked at 375 on my oven about 18 to 20 minutes, but you might want to try a little bit lower, and then it's always easier to just add a few minutes instead of baking the heck out of them. So what I usually do is I take a basket, I just put a cloth napkin in it, and then I take these. Okay, let's see what happens. One left. Come on. You're stuck. You're stuck. Ah. There we go. So make sure that they cool, and then this is how you can serve them. I guess I'll have to eat this one because it broke. So that is it for today. Thanks for joining me, and I hope you make these. They're really good. And if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments below. Thanks for watching.